Okay, I'm delighted to be joined on the line now by a man you snooker fans might recognise as Olivier Marteel, one of the top referees in the sport of snooker. But Olivier is also, in his other job, working in a hospital in Belgium at the moment and battling the coronavirus pandemic from the front lines. So, Olivier, normally the World Snooker Championship would be ongoing this week for 17 days in Sheffield, but you're having a slightly different time this year. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you're doing in your job and how this is a little bit different to what you normally do?
Well, yeah, it's absolutely different. Normally, I was home until the 15th of May. I would have started on the fourth day of qualifiers and then stay in Sheffield till the 1st of May. And then I still took a few days off just to recuperate and recharge the batteries before going back to hospital. But then it was cancelled because of coronavirus. And then I contacted my head nurse and I said, listen, I don't want to stay home for like 5 or 6 weeks. I'm going to climb up the walls here at home. Everything is done in here, so there's nothing I can do really. So he said, yeah, I'll see what I can do. And as in every hospital in Belgium, we had to prepare another A&E, especially for COVID-19 patients, which is at the other side of the hospital. So it's well spread out and well divided from the other A&E. And he was looking for staffing. So I said, yeah, count me in, no problem. I'll do whatever I can. And so now I think nearly every day from 8 till 4:30 in the afternoon. Well, 8 is a fact, but 4:30, you can't leave at 4:30 when a patient comes in, of course. So I'm doing this until probably May, maybe June. I'll see.
You've been working in medicine for a long time, I know, but normally you'd be working in radiology. Is that correct? So this is slightly different, your day-to-day job, from what you normally would have done.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done my whole career, nearly, let's say 95% of my nursing career. I've worked in radiology and medical imaging. But this is slowing down also because there's not so much people coming in on the other A&E and even inside the hospital because all the consultations are cancelled nearly. Only emergencies are going on. So it has nothing to do with radiology. In fact, when people come in on that COVID-19 A&E, I'm the first person they see. So I'm kind of a bit of a triage person. And then I see if I have to contact the doctor, or if they say, for instance, right, I've been sent by my general practitioner because I just have a slight fever and maybe a slight coughing. Then I say, right, for instance, okay, I'm gonna call my colleague, and then he or she does nose swiping, the thing in the throat, and I kind of, first person on triage. And if it's really severe, for instance, if it's an ambulance coming in with a patient, then of course that patient has to be signed in hospital. And I have to do all that stuff also, for all the administration, so that only one person is in contact straight away with a COVID patient.
And what's the situation in Belgium then? I've been reading different articles on the COVID-19 situation in Belgium, and I know quite a high death rate, but I guess they are quite honest with their figures as well. Something like 6,000 deaths over the weekend and 40,000 cases. So is it quite severe in Belgium, or what's the current situation?
I think in Belgium it's severe, yes, but we don't have Italian or Spanish situations, or situations like in New York. The thing is, like you said, we are truthful and we are honest in the numbers we give. Because so you have patients dying in hospital from proven COVID-19, but we have also 1,500 elderly homes in Belgium. So if you count like 1,500 elderly homes times 100 persons average, right? So that's, what's that? 1,500,000 elderly people in elderly homes. So, okay, they don't all die from COVID-19, of course, but nearly all, and I'm saying nearly all, not all, but nearly all, have infected cases. So when an older people dies in an elderly home, when there is COVID-19 somewhere, they put also that death into the numbers. And of course, because of that, our numbers are the highest, probably nearly the highest. I'm not going to say in Europe, but one of the highest in the world. But this is just because we are honest in our numbers.
The other thing as well that a lot of countries are having to talk about is the PPE, the personal protective equipment for people like yourself on the front lines. And I know it's quite hard to come by. And is it the case that even in your hospital, you've had to get scuba diving masks from sports shops and that sort of thing? Is that what I've been reading correctly?
Yeah, you've seen that correctly and reading that correctly. We have FP2 and FP3 masks. But there is a shortage in Belgium and probably in other countries in Europe. You probably must have seen it on the news, maybe also in your country, in the UK, in France, wherever it is. So there is a shortage of masks and PPE costumes and whatever. Even gloves sometimes. We had a short period of shortage of gloves, one single-use gloves. So now they're using those scuba divers thingies, and on top of it there's a filter, and we have to remove and replace that filter every 24 hours. So if we're doing, for instance, 3 shifts of 8 hours, then we can't forget on the 4th day to take off that filter and put another one on, because it's full, and it won't work properly anymore, and there is a higher chance of being infected. I prefer to work with FPE2 masks and a screen before my face than with those scuba diving things, because it's terrible to breathe in there. It's really terrible. When you have to breathe in, it's like you're suffocating. When you breathe out, it's fine. But when you breathe in, because the air has to pass that filter, it's so difficult. And when you have to wear that for minimum 8 hours, I don't want to complain, but you should try it. And even after 5 minutes, you're going to say, no, I'm going to take that off. I'm not going to wear that.
I've heard different doctors and people on the front lines as well speaking about the heat itself within the outfits and the uniforms that they have to wear. So what's that like, wearing that for at least 8 hours a day, and even the impact it might have on your hands as well, wearing those gloves for so long? That must be quite tough.
Yeah, because those suits don't let any heat or any body fluids out, and they don't let anything in. So the heat you're producing stays within the suit, and it can't come out quick enough. Just a bit on the feet and maybe on the arms, although on the arms you have one pair of gloves that you put on in the morning. And then every single time you see or you have contact with another patient, you have to put an extra pair, single use, on top of them, and then remove them every single time. So like I told Ivan a few days ago, Ivan Hirsevich, I said, when I take them off in the evening, my hands feel, it's like gum. It's like you've been like a hot shower for half an hour and your skin turns into kind of gum. It's just the same feeling. But then that happens like after half an hour, 45 minutes, but you have to stick in those gloves for the rest of the day. So yeah, it's kind of, yeah, you need good hygiene afterwards. And make sure that you have some cream or whatever just to make your hands, so your hands can recover. Yeah,
I'm sure for people like yourself in the health profession, it's quite tough to switch off and to I guess forget about things that you've seen in your daily work. Some things that are quite tough, and obviously a lot of people are dying as well, which can't be easy to witness. But when you get home, and I know you're home at the moment, do you get time to unwind and check out your brain for a while? And I know you're a big sports fan as well, a Standard Liège fan, and we're all missing sport as well at the moment. So no snooker, of course, as well. So do you get time to unwind and relax and chill out with the family, or do things that maybe take your mind off the daily work?
Well, to be honest, I can unwind, as you say, but I'm always busy with that thing in my head. Like now, today I'm home. At 1 o'clock in Belgium, there's always the news at 1 o'clock on TV. I've watched the news because I want to know what happened, how many casualties, how many infected people we have more yesterday, and so on and so on. In the evening also, I watch the news. The radio is on. I'm not going to say 24/7, but nearly. So I keep up to date. Unfortunately, because of my private life and my divorce 4 years ago, I'm on my own here. So yes, I have contact with my parents through Skype. I gave my father my old tablet so they could use it, and I installed Skype for them, and I told them how to use it, and Messenger and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and that's it. I mean, I don't have contact with anybody else. Yeah, sometimes the neighbors, but at the moment they're both in maternity, because they both have had a child nearly at the same time, the neighbors. And for the rest, it's a very small town here, so I don't see a lot of people. But to really switch off, no, I can't. No, it's always in my head. And I see documentaries sometimes on TV in the evening on the Belgian channels, on the VRT, which is the Flemish one, or VTM, which is the private Flemish one. And there's every single day there's something to do about COVID-19. And it's sometimes difficult. I can feel myself that I'm not tense, but I'm on the edge.
Like,
yeah.
Just going to say that like the news that you mentioned there, and seeing the news at 1 o'clock every day, and hearing the numbers and the death toll that keeps going up, and the number of cases that keeps going up, obviously it's all very negative, and it's hard to get away from it. We all want to know the latest in our own countries. But do you have any positive stories? Are there any? Have you seen the good of humanity come through in some of what you've seen? Obviously, you're at the front line testing COVID-19 patients or potential patients. So have you seen any positive things or things that have maybe lifted your spirits recently as well?
Absolutely. There is, I mean, at my hospital, they've put like kind of a cube outside, like a big box, and you can go online shopping, for instance, and then they deliver your food or whatever you've asked for in that box. And in the morning, like from 7:30 till 9, and then I think from 2 till 4, you can collect what you've ordered, so you don't have to go to the shops. We have bakeries. We've been last week with Easter. We've been treated for the whole hospital. They've given us 100 kilograms of chocolate eggs. You know, for the nurses and the doctors and everyone who's working in the hospital. So we received quite a bit of those things. Or a baker has baked like pancakes, like hundreds of them, and then they divide them into the hospital for the nursing staff and the doctors and everybody else. So yeah, I can see that yeah, people they're thinking about us. Yeah, and that's positive. Absolutely.
You obviously, a lot of people will recognize you with the white gloves on usually, and walking around the baize and refereeing top snooker matches. And I know you've refereed a lot of big games. You know, the finals of Triple Crown events, the World Championship final in 2015 when Stuart Bingham beat Sean Murphy. And so, do you think when you go back to snooker, I mean, I know it's another kind of job and a totally different kind of job, but will you feel less pressure possibly in refereeing big snooker games, considering possibly the pressure that you're currently under? I mean, it puts things in perspective a little bit, does it?
It does, and it has already been like that for me for years. For me, my job is nursing, and then I had an exploded hobby who became my second job, which is refereeing professionally. And I've always said I treat it as a job, because World Snooker is my boss, and you have to do a good job. Otherwise, you know, they're gonna say, well, you can stay home. That's it. But for me, it's also a bit like holiday, and it has always been. Maybe not at the start, because at the start you really need to be, I'm gonna say, 10,000% on edge and bang on with everything. And I'm not saying I'm not anymore, but that pressure is gone for a bit. And now, as you say, like, and I don't want to sound big-headed or whatever, but yes, I've done it all. I have the Triple Crown. I've done a second Masters final. I've done 8 or 9 ranking finals. So yes, I go out there. I'm still a bit on edge, stressed, but it's not like it used to be. And for me, it's a bit like a holiday. I treat it 100% as a job, but all the sides are, for me, it's like, going, have a pint, have a meal with colleagues. I can see that people are enjoying their snooker, have a chat with people on the street, in the pub, whatever. So for me, yeah, it's a holiday.
Do you get any time to relax and play a bit of snooker at the moment, or watch snooker? I know BBC here, for example, are showing a lot of classic matches every day for the duration of what would have been the World Championship. Are you getting any time to watch snooker or even play snooker yourself?
I've stopped playing snooker 6 years ago.
Okay.
Because a day only has 24 hours. So in between your work and your traveling and World Snooker and a bit of social life, going to my parents and whatever, I just said, listen, I'm going to stop playing because I couldn't practice like I used to practice. And my level wasn't what it used to be. And I was more annoyed to myself when I was playing than something else. So I said, no, I'm going to stop. That's it. Too much stress. But yeah, when I'm home and yeah, in the afternoon there is snooker, but it's recording at the moment. I'm recording the whole thing, the whole week. For the 18 days, I'm recording the whole thing.
You watch it all back at some point in the future.
Yeah, at some point, yeah, or maybe later today, for instance, when I've done cleaning a bit, and then I say, okay, I'm gonna start watching while it's recording. I can still, start watching what I've recorded 2 hours ago. So yeah, but I'm not gonna say like I'm not what I used to be. It used to be that I wouldn't miss one single second of a match on TV. I had to be home by 7 o'clock because the snooker was starting at 7 o'clock. But it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, the priorities have changed, I guess.
Yes.
I spoke with Leo Scullion, the Scottish referee and colleague of yours, at the Crucible last year, just before he refereed his first ever World Final. And I know that's an honour you had 5 years ago, as I said, when Stuart Bingham beat Sean Murphy. So, I mean, you mentioned all the massive finals you've refereed, the ranking events. You've refereed plenty of other big games as well. But do you have any moments over your refereeing career in particular that stand out for you as the big memories? The World Final is an obvious one, I guess, but really any moments that bring a smile to your face when you think about them?
Yeah, well, there is a few. There is a match between Mark Selby and Mark Williams at the Masters, with that cue ball incident. Well, I call it a cue ball incident, but it was a laugh and a joke. So
this is when Mark Williams hid the cue ball on you and put it in his pocket.
That's it. Yeah, then I have one in India, where I got a new nickname from Jan Verhaas. I've got so many nice memories on and off the table. But for me, they're nearly all, I'm going to say 99.9% are really good memories. I can't remember every single match I've done. I know I've done 3 147s. I've done great matches. Doesn't have to be a final to be a great match. My first world semi in 14 was also up there in the top 3 between Mark Selby and Neil Robertson. Yeah, there's so many. The reception I got from the crowd, for instance, in Germany, in Berlin, for my German Masters final, was awesome.
You got quite emotional when at that one as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it was my first really big one, and then normally you come down, you don't come down from the stairs as the players do. You just walk in when you're introduced, and then you wait for the players who are walking down. But Brendan Parker said, "You're gonna have the big one. You're gonna come down the stairs as the players, just the same as the players." So I didn't know what to expect. Yes, I had been there the whole week, but for the final, we really had a full house, 3,000 people. That venue in Berlin is amazing. It's awesome. If you were in Berlin one day, you must have a go and see that venue, the Tempodrome. It's unbelievable. And then, 3,000 people clapping and cheering. And I mean, even thinking about that now gives me the goosebumps. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
Do you have any, I guess it's a tough question to ask a referee because you have to stay neutral, but do you have any favorite players in particular? I mean, you've refereed some of the greats of the modern times, like Ronnie O'Sullivan and Judd Trump and John Higgins and these guys, but even players gone by, you know, the likes of Jimmy White and Alex Higgins and, you know, Steve Davis, Stephen Hendry. Do you have any particular favorites that stand out for you?
No, I never had. When I discovered snooker in the 80s, it was when we put the TV on, when we switched TV on, it was Steve Davis. And there were 6, 7, 8 tournaments a year, and every single match nearly was Steve Davis on TV. And after a few years, my grandfather and I'm not going to say we got bored, but we said, Steve Davis again. Yeah? And then the 90s, Hendry came up. And then it was Hendry. And then I started reffing professionally in 2005, 6. But to say this is my favorite player, no. For me, as long as it's a good snooker match with good snooker, breaks, tactical games, ups and downs, whatever, then for me, it made my day.
And finally, Olivier, I know, obviously, as we said, you would have been refereeing in the World Championships this week and for the next couple of weeks if the world had panned out in a different way, but it hasn't. But you mentioned you were speaking to Ivan Hershowitz from World Snooker a number of days ago. Have yourself and the other referees been given any indication whatsoever as to when you can expect the World Championships to happen? I know August was mooted as a possible date, but have you been given any concrete information as to when it might happen?
We just received an email asking, because not a lot of us have a second job. But I received an email asking, could you make yourself available from the 25th of July till I think it was the 15th of August? They were just querying. So I had a word with my head nurse, telling me, right, I'm helping out a bit now, but can you guarantee me that I can be off from then to then? And he said, yeah, no problem. I'll make sure if the World Championship is played then, you'll be able to go to the UK. So I'm not saying that they will play it from the 25th till the 15th. Because when I replied, I got a reply from my reply, and Mike told me, he said, glad you could make it if it goes through, but don't book any days off yet. Because they're going to come back with more information as soon as they have it themselves. So I'm not saying that the World Championship is going to start on the 25th of July. It could be later.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
There is the chance, of course, that it might go ahead with behind closed doors and with no audience present. Would you support that kind of thing? Obviously, snooker is a massive spectator sport, and you know the crowd at the Crucible are fantastic. You know, having been there the last couple of years and witnessed it. But would you support playing it behind closed doors, or maybe holding off until there is a chance to play it with an audience there?
I can understand that World Snooker wants their tournaments, and especially now the World Championship, which is the last one from the season, they want it to go on for all kinds of reasons. Also for the players, because players, if they don't play, they don't earn any money. That's okay for the top 16, top 32, right? But below that, I can imagine that the end of the month is not coming quick enough. So for me, if it's a one-off that we play behind closed doors, for me that would be fine, because it means that they still put health first. Okay, and then we play it. No spectators, whatever. Well, we're gonna have spectators. We're gonna have millions and millions and millions behind their TV, even if it's in the summer. Because a lot of people still will have to stay home. I'm not saying home like in a lockdown, but I don't think in Belgium, for instance, if you say in July or August, I want to go on holiday in Spain or whatever, they're not going to say you can't, but they're going to say, listen, think about it. I wouldn't do that. They would recommend it. So there's a lot of people who's going to stay home. So we're going to have an audience. Not to have an audience is the Crucible, of course. That's a first. That would be a first. And I think it's going to be very strange if it is like that. But if it can help out the players to have some earnings, to earn some money and help them and carry on in their lives, because some of them have families, they're married, 1 or 2 kids, and they're not in the top 32. So every pound, every penny is welcome every month. And I can understand that. But as long as they put the health of the general public and everybody on top of the list, then for me it's fine, whatever happens.
Well, listen, Olivier Marteel, you've been very good with your time, and well done on all your efforts at the moment. And listen, hopefully we get to go to the World Championships in a few months' time and sit down and have a beer, maybe a Belgian blonde beer, and relax. Fingers crossed. You'll have earned it. But Olivier Marteel, thank you very much for your time.
You're more than welcome. All the best.